The 10 years I've been in the self-publishing business, I've seen massive changes and improvements in an array of indie author services and distribution platforms. But what does the future hold for self-publishing on Amazon and beyond? And what changes can we expect? And what company will be at the forefront for indie authors? I asked 8 major self-publishing platforms to share their candid thoughts in a roundtable discussion for the 2024 AuthorTube Writing Conference. ingramspark, Kobo Writing Life, Drafted Digital, Smashwords, StreetLib, Lulu, PublishDrive, and BookVault all volunteered their time and offered keen insights into the business. If you're watching this live, I'll field questions at the end of the roundtable. If you're catching this on the replay, post your question inside the comments. Also, let me know where you're watching this video. Get more details about this virtual conference at authortubewritingconference.com or visit the links inside the description. Let's meet the panel of experts and jump right into the questions.
I'm Mark Coker. I'm the founder of Smashwords. Smashwords was acquired a couple years ago by Drafted Digital. I'm now a board member of Drafted Digital and chief strategy officer, and I kind of oversee the Smashwords store.
Hello, my name is Alex. I'm the technical lead for BookVault. I kind of handle the day-to-day development as well as strategy for BookVault.
I'm Danica Favorite. I'm the community manager at PublishDrive, and I work with authors and partners and just working to build the community around PublishDrive. So I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Tara Kremen. I'm the director of Kobo Writing Life, and I kind of work on the business side of things to try and make sure that KWL is the best indie platform that it can be.
Hi, I'm Bailey Yeager. I'm the Senior Manager of Sales and Business Development for ingramspark. I've been with Ingram for 10 years, where I've had the opportunity to work with authors, publishers, and everything in between.
Hi, I'm Chris Austin, co-founder and CEO of Drafted Digital.
Hello, I'm Chelsea, and I am with Lulu. I'm Lulu's Education and Community Manager.
I am Julie Trelstad. I am the head of publishing for StreetLib in the United States. StreetLib is an international company. We've been around since 2006.
How do you see the future of self-publishing evolving in the next 5 years?
Mostly, you're going to see more diversification. I think self-publishers are learning more and more about what it takes to run their businesses, and you're going to see a lot more diversification in platforms. So think more like subscription models, perhaps dabbling in direct sales models, different things all around platforms. And then you're going to see just different formats or wider versions of formats. So more print, more audiobook. I think the next 5 years is all about diversification of their businesses as they learn to be more business savvy.
Diversification for sure is going to continue to play a major role. I think we're going to continue to see more tools become available at a more affordable rate. I think the barriers to entry are going to continue to get lower and lower as we start to see more players within the space wanting to help get authors from the point of ideation to publication to first sale. And I think, in terms of, trends in terms of the content, we're seeing a lot more people engaging more with serialization of content, series, small novellas, and definitely some specialization of special editions. I think that's going to continue to play a big role.
I think the future is really bright for self-publishing. It's going to continue to evolve. And to just add on to what they were saying, I think indie authors will start thinking in terms of globally more often than perhaps is current right now. It tends to be a little bit North American centric in the thinking, but it really is a global market. Kobo is available wherever you can consider wanting a book. And I think when authors kind of realize that there's a global area out there and that there are people in the world that are reading digitally for the first time right now, that this is a really exciting time. And it is, I think the future is very bright.
Well, I hate to sound like just a parrot of everybody else, but I think that you do have the brightest minds in the business here in one room, and we're all saying the same thing, that it's going to be all about diversification and having multiple streams of income and multiple paths to publishing. And so I think that's going to be really the focus of a lot of publishing businesses, but also to add to that, the idea of how can we make our publishing businesses more efficient? And with all of that diversification and all the multiple streams, that's a lot of balls to be juggling. And so how can we make that ball juggling a little bit simpler, a little more effective, and easier for authors? So I think combining all of that into one is really important.
Yeah, I don't want to sound like an echo, but very similar. I think it's one of those that we're going to see more and more kind of people taking it to more of an entrepreneurial level, really kind of focusing on less selling thousands of books at 10-cent profit and more selling 100 books at $10 profit. It's really kind of about that building your business up around your super fans as much as kind of traditional readers, and really kind of exploring through direct sales and other kind of platforms how to earn more from selling your books as well.
One of the big trends that I see, and this has really been going on since the introduction of ebooks, is that books are becoming immortal. They no longer go out of print. This is especially true in the indie world. In the indie world, where most of the books are sold online, shelf space is unlimited and virtually free to the retailers. So retailers want to carry every book under the sun, even if that book doesn't sell a single copy in 5 years. So this is a double-edged sword for indie authors. The good news is that your book will never go out of print. The bad news, or the challenging news, is that it becomes more of a struggle every day from this day forward to fight for visibility, discoverability, and sales. And so I think this is going to lead eventually to a greater focus on best practices, something I don't really see a lot of. And that'll be a good trend, I think.
I actually kind of think the term self-publishing might become obsolete. I think that more people are just saying, how can I buy your book? So when you say I've written something, they just want to know how to get it. And they're not asking, well, were you traditionally published or did you self-publish? So I think we'll kind of be shifting away from those differentiations. And I also think just more control, authors having more control over their content, when they publish, how they distribute their work, and their customer data. And I think that autonomy is going to be huge and continue to grow in the next couple years.
Well, I know others have addressed this, but you're going to see like a multiplication of of different formats. You're going to see a lot more variations on subscriptions, different pricing models for single copies. You're going to see lending models. You're going to see models we can't even think of. Combinations between print and audio and ebooks are all going to pop onto the scene. So that, and also Giacomo likes me to always use this number, 5.3 billion, which is the number of global humans who have access to a device that reads ebooks and can listen to audiobooks on. That is a huge number. Outside the US, in the US, it's only 221 million readers have devices. People have these devices. So the global market is exponentially larger than the US market alone for selling digital books in particular. And so you're just going to see things go wide in an international way.
What are the key trends shaping the self-publishing industry today?
I don't know if this is a trend, but there's kind of an existential struggle going on in the publishing community right now, exclusivity versus wide. And so all the panelists here started off talking about the virtues and opportunities with wide, of diversifying your income streams. So I am hopeful that trend will continue, that authors really wake up and realize there's a broad world out there to participate in. And by participating in that world, you're supporting that world. By distributing wide, you're supporting those retailers so that those retailers can wake up every day thinking about how are they going to sell your books and bring more readers into their store. And that's really the future that I would like to realize, is a diverse ecosystem of multiple competing retailers serving authors, fighting for the right to and privilege to serve authors, and creating opportunities not just for authors but for readers as well. So that's one of the things I see.
I think in terms of the trends, what Bailey mentioned around like the series, I think is something that we continue to be something that's very popular with readers, serialized content for sure. And in terms of like strategies around that, marketing the first book in series has continued to be something that is really effective for authors. It doesn't have to necessarily be a free first in series, though that doesn't seem to be slowing down in how it does hook the readers. But I am noticing a lot of kind of tiered pricing as it's going into like book 1, book 2, book 3. So that's something that's really interesting that I think indies have a little bit of an opportunity on, because there tends to be serialized content and publishers maybe differ in how they are marketing things. And then also just trends in general, to jump on what Mark was saying about the wide industry. I think having subscription services like Kobo Plus that allow you to participate while not being exclusive is a great way of like reaching that wider market. And we've seen it being a really popular trend to honestly just put your books in front of more readers and really, as an author, help authors earn more money overall.
Well, one of our favorite trends is actually something that's also coming out of our German market, which is the community-driven approach to publishing. StreetLib, we announced we started a new community among our users and publishers and authors to help them learn more about publishing, but also to help them promote each other. Something I've been talking about for years, which is literary citizenship. This idea that books are different from any other product because people, price is usually not a barrier to buy a book. A car has a price tag that is a barrier. If you want to buy a book, most people can buy that book. But it's discovery. It's like there's too much demand or too much supply and not enough demand. So you need to find ways to get people to find your books. And in the past, it used to be from gatekeepers and booksellers, and now it's from communities. So like-minded authors getting together, publishers helping support each other, authors supporting each other, publishers supporting each other. That's the trend that I see that is going to be dominating in the next few years.
Some things that I've been observing in terms of trends shaping the self-publishing industry at a pretty high level is that as opposed to maybe 20 years ago, the consumers are starting to shape what determines is in demand now. So in the world of maybe 20 years ago, it was a publisher deciding what should be published, what stores it should be available in. And now it's consumers saying, no, we have access to more content than ever. We're telling you what we want. And they have access to that in more places than ever. So I think we're starting to see kind of the revolution of consumers telling us, yeah, this big five publisher might only want to publish this, but I want this indie content now. And so I think we're going to continue to see that disruption, but that's a big trend that's creating quite an equalization of opportunity, and that is quite a byproduct of the disruption of social media, especially over the last few years, which leads me to a second trend I definitely see, impacting the self-publishing industry right now is the ability to direct sell. We're only going to continue to see social commerce play such a big role, which is going to create, again, more equalization and opportunity for our self-publishers and for our indie authors and indie publishers to have that opportunity to go viral. There's no, pay to play in terms of virality. It is really, truly a level playing field there. So something that we're trying to make sure that we're providing opportunity for is to take advantage of these new opportunities within a space that has, no preference. It's just the consumers telling us, I want a book about a hockey romance and I want to read 17 of those hockey romances. So I think that's been really interesting to watch within the space.
Well, I would be remiss if I didn't say AI. So that's obviously been a huge part of the conversation. Direct sales are a huge part of the conversation as well. So being able to connect and sell directly to your audience. I think subscriptions are emerging quite a bit, as have been around for a while, but more and more authors are understanding how to tap into that. Niche, being as niche as possible is, maybe something that people were worried about, but I think is becoming more and more accepted and people are seeking it. And then owned versus rented land. So building your own website, owning your customer data, owning the customer journey, and just, again, taking more ownership over the author business in all aspects of it.
I'd like to go back to something Bailey was talking about. And really, I think what we're seeing trend-wise, it's always been there, but readers, they want a relationship with authors. And Alex touched on a little bit with the experience concept, but I think what you're really looking at is readers wanting to be connected to authors in a real intimate way. Social media kind of showed that happening, but I think you're starting to see some of that with direct sales. And I just think that that's going to be probably more of the trend going on, and in an overall sense. And it's going to be the most successful authors will probably be the ones that figure out how to make that connection directly with their readers. And in a strange way, I think you're seeing some kind of rollback to newsletters and a focus on newsletters because of that. These are readers who have basically said, I want to be closer to you, and have signed up to your email list, and you can now connect to them directly. They want to read what you want to write to them. And I think you're going to start seeing kind of a pullback a bit from social media focused marketing, kind of going back to some of that tried and true email focused marketing.
I think we're seeing it less people selling books, more selling experiences. I think Kickstarter for us we've seen a massive increase in it. I think it's not all been fueled by, but the whole Brandon Sanderson massive Kickstarters, and then kind of you got other people that we've been working with, for instance, Joanna Penn, Sasha Black, doing these really nice books and really nice packages that contain a book to sell kind of wide. And I think it's, as you say, less about, I said earlier, focusing on selling those thousands of books, more focusing on selling to those really dedicated fans that will pay for that experience, and kind of really making a great thing for the reader. And again, that kind of falls into the direct sales of whether it be a Kickstarter or whether it be your own store or a subscription platform. You've kind of got all those different new avenues really accessible to the general author, whereas they wouldn't usually be.
No, I think that it's really interesting to see the biggest trends right now in terms of how we have all these opportunities. And I think that opportunity for authors has never been greater than it is right now. And I think that's really exciting that authors have the ability to take control of their writing careers in ways they have never done so before. And that is extremely exciting for authors. And maybe a little bit of a caveat as well, that it's also a challenge, because there is this temptation to want to do all of the things. And I think that is part of that trend, is the author saying, okay, I want to do this and I want to do that, and not having that bandwidth to do it, and to realize that I think there's also that prioritization of which of these trends and where in going wide, and how is it going to best suit my business and my business needs. Because I think that is also one of those important conversations that I'm hearing a lot of, because yes, I think a lot of authors are finding that they want more control than exclusivity gives them, but then they also need to, and are discussing where and how to wisely place those priorities for all of the opportunities that exist today.
I think to add to that, that's something we're kind of seeing. The most successful authors are the ones that are doing it one bit at a time. It's not about doing all of the things at once and getting really excited and kind of doing everything at once. That's where you kind of start to make mistakes, or not putting as much effort in as you should. So it's really important to kind of do that one thing at a time and make a plan and step through it.
How do you envision the role of artificial intelligence in the future of self-publishing?
Sure, it is the buzzword at the moment, is talking about AI with self-publishing. But we do see authors kind of already experimenting. So I think overall, I think authors will see it as a tool that they can use with their self-publishing career. So for instance, I think the AI created audiobooks is a good example of like, it can have been, there could have been a price entry barrier for authors that wanted to enter the audiobook space. And this sort of gives them the ability to do that, and then publish those books as audiobooks that they couldn't have had before, jumping on what we were saying about diversifying their portfolio of content. And it doesn't necessarily take away from books that are being produced. I think there's space for both of these things. If you're very much clearly labeling that this is an AI-read book, and your price point is probably also going to indicate that this is like a machine-created thing, I think that that's something that can definitely be used. But yeah, I think being very upfront with the consumer, as we're talking about, like the customer relationship is so core to this, and AI is just a tool to help you to connect with them, but you should also kind of be very upfront with what you're doing with it. So I don't see it going away at all. We're going to see it kind of increase. I'm excited for a space where it could be leveraged with like translations, for instance, as we talk about the global landscape. Like that's a huge opportunity for authors to be able to kind of translate their books in a more cost-effective way. So I think it's a good tool that authors can definitely leverage, but cautiously.
Yeah, so I would agree with Tara. I think, using it as a tool really is something we're starting to see our authors and publishers play with AI in that space. I think there's obviously the conversation around when does AI usage become too much AI usage within the authoring process. And what we're seeing the most right now is how AI can help with generating the right keywords, or improving the tagline of a description. I think those are great uses of a tool like that. But anyone can take a hammer and they can choose to make a seesaw, or they can choose to smash a window, right? So I think those who are using the tool appropriately are still retaining the right integrity of the idea of intellectual property, which I think is really the big challenge within this space. And another thing is, we're starting to hear about, AI generated covers, AI generated, etc. I think in terms of what we're seeing with the application here, what I would advise with anyone watching this panel is also be aware of how consumer behavior changes when they know that AI is at play. So, as Tara mentioned, if you are being honest and disclosing the use of AI to create, be aware of what that means for a consumer decision in terms of that creation, because as Chris said, they're looking for a connection to the author. So I would say, diplomatic usage that I'm seeing is how they're using AI to enhance discoverability, because that's the hard part is writing the book. The harder part is everything else. The hardest part is getting it discovered. And so I think it's been, used pretty wisely as a tool for discoverability in what I've seen within the space.
I think that it's a tool. It's a tool just like anything else. And I think there are people that will abuse it and use it for nefarious reasons, maybe. But the beauty of being an author is putting your thoughts and your perception and your ideas and your story into the world. And AI is not going to do that for you. The human element obviously is missing. So I think it's a tool that can help you find comp titles. How do you, can you help me write a description to pitch an interview? Can you help me create a log line for my book? And so I think it can be really helpful in maybe helping you as the author polish the things that you're maybe not great at. Can you help me write a social post to promote my book? Things like that. But it's certainly not going to replace, the very human element of writing a story from your perspective. But I think it can be just another tool that you add to your tool belt.
Well, so first of all, I have to just say I'm actually jumping out of my skin at this with excitement because hopefully by the time this panel launches, you'll see some exciting news from PublishDrive on the AI front that I'm not allowed to talk about right now. So it's killing me. But obviously, we've used a lot of AI tools in our products already for some of the keywords and things like that. And so very excited about where that is going and where we are taking it. The other thing, and this will have been launched by the time this goes live, is that I am personally, as part of PublishDrive, working with Steph Pajonas from the Future Fiction Academy, and we're about to launch a podcast called The Brave New Bookshelf, Perspectives in AI and Publishing. And it's going to be a weekly conversation about where AI is going in publishing and how AI is being used, because I definitely agree with the points made by Tara and Bailey that AI is something that's here. It's in the industry. It's here to stay. So we need to have these intelligent conversations and really understand how to work with AI in an ethical manner, and also in ways that are going to improve our businesses. Because I've talked about the efficiency, and again, just to continue that idea of how do we use AI to make our businesses more efficient, more productive, so that we can do the things we love, which is writing and writing good books and giving those readers that reader experience that they love.
AI is just kind of a complicated misnomer label of all the different types of computer algorithms that kind of exist. And in the end, it's kind of what we end up doing with them and how we end up using them. And I do think there's a lot of there's just a whole lot of buzzword mania around AI. So I would just caution authors when hearing about AI and thinking that it's something automatically positive because it's AI. But that's not to say that there's not usefulness in some of those tools. And I think in the authoring process, the creative processes, there's going to be a lot of help there that authors will be able to take advantage of. And I'm very, very excited about that. I do think the legal side of all of AI stuff right now is absurdly complicated and is going to become just a constant thorn in the side of AI for a while. And I think authors should really pay attention to that. We shouldn't be comfortable, I don't think, with how the training is being done on authors' creative works. And it makes me very uncomfortable that we as a society might be okay with authors' works being used without their consent to train these tool sets. And I think we'll need to be watching that very closely over the coming years.
The other perspective I would add is that, there's these two pieces. So Chris talked about these. So there's the training. Authors have a right to be really just livid over what's been happening there on the training side, and their books being used for training without their consent, without any consideration for compensation for the billions of dollars of value that will be created by authors' intellectual property. So Chris addressed that. There's a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt around AI right now. I know a lot of authors are really upset with it, see it as a threat. I think 4 or 5 years from now, maybe earlier, we're not going to be wondering which books were created by AI, touched by AI, or any of that. I don't think readers are going to care pretty soon. What readers care about is the author, the quality of the book, and author brand. And so if you're producing a book with AI, and I think everyone will be producing books with AI, I mean, you already are. If you use spell check, that's like infantile AI. As Chris mentioned, it's just automation under a different label. And what we're going to see, and this is the way technology evolves, is that the rate of change increases over time. And so AI is just the latest manifestation, the latest label of how quickly technology is evolving to automate everything. And so AI is going to touch every single book. It's going to need to. It's going to be a competitive edge for writers, but it's not going to substitute anytime soon for great writing. And so at the end of the day, if you're putting out a book with your pen name on it, your pen name is accountable. Your pen name is your brand. Your pen name has to earn and deserve the trust of the reader. So if you're putting out Drek, just generic Drek created 100% by AI, no one's going to read it. It's going to disappear. It's going to be invisible to the world. Readers demand great books. That's the only way to get ahead in this industry, is to write books that please readers so you can spark word of mouth.
My view is really AI is there to enhance and enable. I think it's very much kind of enhancing what you're currently doing, maybe things that you're struggling with, need a little bit of help with. AI can kind of help you there, and enabling things that couldn't previously be done. Similar again with audiobook narration. If you don't have the budget on your first release to create an audiobook and it's one of the most accessible formats, you previously wouldn't be able to. Whereas with AI, obviously, it enables you to do that. I think looking at it for myself as well as a software developer, as soon as I kind of saw it come out in the news and started reading into it, I thought, wow, I'm better get on the job market, change trade, I'm going to be made redundant. But that's really not the case. I mean, I use it daily to help me and assist me in my job. But without me there giving it the information it needs and giving it the kind of direction that it needs to take and putting a lot of work into it, it would really not help me. So I think it's very much about how you can build it into your processes to make them more efficient and help you in the long run as well.
What advice do you have for authors who are considering self-publishing but are unsure which platform to choose?
So I obviously would say go to PublishDrive, but I think that's probably a pretty basic answer. And I think you really, as an author who's just starting out, you need to figure out what your goals are as an author, because I think that so many times people think, oh yeah, I just put up a book and the sales will come. And we all know that's not true. That's not how it's going to happen. And so I think when you're getting started, I think you really need to ask yourself, well, what is my goal in this book? And there's no shame, by the way, in saying, I just want to publish a book for my friends and family, and that's it. And so, but I think that if you seriously want to run your publishing business as a publishing business and want to be a published author who is making money, you have to treat it as a business. And so you really need to look at the platforms and the ways that are going to get your book out to the widest audience possible, and how you're going to do that. Because again, it's not a magical field of dreams. If you build it, they will come. You actually have to put in the work, and figuring out what work you're willing to put in and where those distribution channels are. And so I think that that's really, for me, the first step. If you want to become an author, it isn't just if you write it, they will read it. It is, okay, let's figure out the strategy for me as a business. And again, if you are interested in that, that's okay. There's no shame in that. You get to write a book and put it up, and your grandma's going to buy it and she's going to love it. And that's okay too. But really think about what is your goal, and then find the appropriate platform for that. Because obviously, PublishDrive is not designed for someone who wants their grandma to read their book. It is designed for someone who wants to build a business. And again, figure out what it is you want out of your publishing career, and then create that plan to get there.
Well, what I would say, first figure out who your audience is, make sure and where they're reading, and then pick street lib. So, honestly, it doesn't really matter. You're going to reach them. And I think that, I would say pick street lib, because especially with our new pro plans, we can really help you hone your message. Like, even though we don't have our co-pilot in the seat yet, our AI co-pilot, we have human beings who can help you make sure that your book is going out in the right place.
I think it's one of those, what each brand or each business here has their own specialities, and I think it's all about using each company to their advantage. I think the phrase I hate the most is, why should I use you over? Because it's always a case of, we're not the same. We all have our own specialities. We can all help you in different ways, and you should use every business to your advantage. Again, what I kind of mentioned earlier, don't use them all at once. Don't set up 20 accounts in a day and upload your files. Sure, it might help you, but it won't. I think you really need to focus on each platform one at a time, find out their niche, listen to podcasts, kind of find out wherever authors are doing well with them, and kind of use them to their advantage.
Yeah, I think, to Alex's point, like, we all represent different platforms here. So we'd love to be like, just use our platform, but, for the sake of, how we think about choosing where to manage your business, there are some things that I always tell people when they say, like, what should I look for? And I think Danica is completely correct. What are your goals? And whenever you've got your goals figured out, think about how your platform that you're looking at, I like to call it resource alignment. Does that platform align with the resources you need and the resources you already have? And then, I think we've all kind of mentioned at the top of this panel the importance of control, the importance of wide reach. But the thing that I've kind of affectionately coined is, look for a partner, because you are opening a business. Your entrepreneurial spirit. Look for a partner that allows you not to just invest in the existence of your book, but the success of your book too. There are so many times where, the service solution just stops at, oh, your book, yeah, congratulations, it's up now. You've already paid us a lot of money to make it just exist. Look for partners that help you do the what's now, like what now? Who helps you answer, what do I do now? So that's my advice when you think about, what platforms to work with and who to experiment with and things like that.
I think the answer to this question really starts with, I'm going to assume that the goal of the reader, whether it's to build a business or do whatever, is to reach readers. And if your goal is to reach readers, I think the answer to the question starts with understanding what your unique contribution to the world is as an author. And it's your writing. No one can write the book that you can write. And so you want to think of in terms of time management. How do you optimize your time so that you're maximizing your time writing and creating and making your unique contribution to the world, and minimize the time necessary for all the other essential tasks of running a publishing business? So, what are some of those tasks? Well, there's book production, there's distribution, There's book management, metadata management. There's managing your back office, functions. So, sales tracking, sales analytics, accounts payable, income, tax obligations. I mean, that's all this stuff, just a surface of what goes into running a business. And so once you recognize that, choose a partner who is going to honor your independence as an author, give you control. You don't want to work with a partner who's trying to take away your control, take away your ability to price, promote, and distribute as you want. You want to work with a partner that's going to help you automate a lot of these more tedious functions. And I think when you look at it that way, and this is self-serving for me to say, but I think that means it makes sense for every author in the world to choose a distribution partner. A distributor can help automate a lot of this. A distributor can help open up opportunities for you that wouldn't exist otherwise. A distributor can get you into library platforms that you can't reach any other way, get you into retailers, into subscription services that you can't reach any other way. So I think that's kind of a good way to focus on it. Of course, I think Drafted Digital is the best distributor in the world, but there are a lot of other good distributors.
I think it's important to realize that no one loves your book more than you do, and that you need to remember that. And as you reach and find partners to work with, to fill out your team, most everyone's talked about control, but that concept of you're building a team one way or another. You're not going to do it all yourself. But one thing I love so much about indie publishing and self-publishing in general is that the author does just have so much control. And since they're the ones that love the book more than anyone else, they're the ones that are going to be able to make those decisions to make that book succeed and get it to where they want it to go. And your goal just needs to be to find the partner or partners that help you get there. So.
Well, my best advice is that it doesn't have to be either or. There are several platforms that you could use to create the best author ecosystem for you. So I always like to encourage people, don't think about it as either or. Come and have an honest conversation with yourself about what your goals are and where your audience is, and then look at the platforms that can help you get out there. And I would also say, if budget is a concern, what platforms are charging overheads or maybe upload fees or revision fees? Is that a consideration? What are the revenue splits? What are you trying to make per sale? But the key is always, with so many things in publishing, what are your goals? And then more importantly, where is your audience and what platforms are you going to be able to use to reach them most effectively and efficiently?
I usually get this question as like a exclusive versus wide sort of thing. But from that perspective of an answer, my advice to always give people is to research the different platforms. So I think it's really important to familiarize yourself with the platforms when you're making a decision, even prior to like wanting to publish. I think sometimes it can be like, I want to get my book up in as many places as possible. But if you take the time to actually look at different platforms and what's involved, I think it'll save you time in the long run. It also lets you like potentially see the extra tools that are available in certain things, and also for you to start building those relationships with whatever retailers or distributors you want to work with. So I think it's really important to kind of like know the kinks. Everything has its own sort of quirks. Maybe I shouldn't say kinks in terms of self-publishing, but it's important to learn like the ins and outs of the different places where you're publishing for sure. And I think an author gave this advice once that I thought was really smart, is to even download the different apps to look at it from the customer point of view. If you're really wanting your book to stand out, like you should probably know what that looks like to the customer. So most of the apps are available for free. You can browse and see which ones are in like the top lists and similar authors to you. So I would really familiarize yourself with the platforms themselves. And then also, if you're attending events like this, you're already doing part of my advice is part of the research, but really reach out to the community. There's so many Facebook groups out there that can probably help you answer some of the questions. It's very unlikely that you're asking this for the first time, that nobody has ever asked this question before. So I think really lean on the indie community, because that's one of my favorite things about working in this community is just how open and willing people are to share what worked for them. So I would definitely use that.
I think Tara is exactly right. But I do want to caution against analysis paralysis. It's very possible, and I've seen a lot of authors do this. You do it just in the writing phase of a book and just never finish writing the book because you keep re-editing it and re-editing and re-editing it. The nice thing about self-publishing is nothing is final, nothing is permanent. You make some decisions and move forward, and then learn from those experiences, and then make new decisions and better decisions.
I think as well, a really good resource is the Wide for the Win Facebook group. Absolutely fantastic. It's that's all about going wide. Erin and the team run a great ship there, and it's full of people even showing their sales data, what's worked well for them, what hasn't, and it's a really good resource to find out, help you choose which direction to go in as well.
What strategies do you recommend for authors to maximize their visibility and sales on your platform?
One of the first things you can do is invest your time in your metadata. Your metadata is your number one marketing tool. It's also free. So make sure that you invest your time in your metadata. That helps really make sure that your book is super discoverable. It helps really kind of add to the credibility of your book when you have full and robust metadata. And another thing I recommend is don't set it and forget it. Your metadata can be a living and breathing thing. So make sure that you are, seeing what works and where, you're popping up, and then pivot. A really great tool to use that I recommend to everyone who works with us is to use Google Trends to drop in your keywords and see at what point during the year are those keywords trending? Are they being searched the most? And make sure that you're kind of aligning those trends with search behavior with your pushes on your social platform or your newsletter or your blog, because it really is a discoverability game. We really want to make sure that we're setting you up to understand where you can invest your time. Your time isn't free, but your time is your most valued resource as a small or self-publishing or first-time author. That is one area where your return on investment is what you put in is what you get out with your metadata. So those are a couple of the things that I highly recommend. We also we're very excited to have recently launched a direct selling tool that allows you to direct sell. That means that you can sell direct to your audience, so you don't have to wait a few weeks before a listing is up and complete. And so those are a couple of the tools and resources and ways that we kind of encourage people to invest their time for better discoverability. You can spend money. I mean, obviously, paid ads are definitely, a space that you can engage in. Whenever you're thinking about social media, think about your platform. You're more likely to be born with 11 fingers or toes than to come across an organic Facebook ad that is not paid. So think about how, where you spend your investment, and your investment isn't just money, it's also your time, and line those up appropriately with the right places.
Yeah, I think as for Book Vault, we kind of really focus on the direct sales side of things. So kind of your own store and things like that. We've seen ourselves as we're relatively new to the indie world. We've kind of noticed how special editions and things like that really help maximize people's profits. So they can be something really simple, such as a really nice colorful artwork in the middle of the book or something like that. Or you can go down to kind of the really big things like sprayed edges. I know we're really excited. We're launching that in July, which will be on a kind of single copy basis as well, which is going to be a massive game changer. But I think it's all about giving your readers a reason to buy from you direct as opposed to the main kind of mainstream stores like Amazon. So adding a little bookmark, adding exclusive content or things like that to really push up the sales value on your store. And another thing that we actually saw is we launched bundling last year. So where you can bundle physical books together under one SKU. And one author particularly we're working with, his average sale value actually went up by 55% when introducing bundling. So whereas he was kind of selling kind of out on average 20 $30. He was hitting more to the $45-50. So it was a kind of massive increase there, and that kind of really helps pay off the ad that you may be using to get people into your store, and again really pushes up that kind of profit margin.
Well, so on our platform, one thing that a distributor can really help an author with that's different from, like, say, if you just directly uploaded to the Apple or the Kobo platform, is that we have personal relationships with merchandising vendors at Kobo. So we're constantly telling you an opportunity to submit your books for those discussions, and a huge impact on sales in the different platforms. So if you have an April Showers book to promote for Kobo, let us know. A lot of it is like, ask for help. So we have these relationships and we can help facilitate these relationships, but if you don't tell us about your books and you don't tell us what's hot or what you're promoting or what you have hopes and dreams for, we can't help. So it's definitely get in touch. And, in our case, we're offering the opportunity for you to work directly with me or any of our publishing specialists with some of our new paid plans. We'd really recommend you take advantage of that, because we can fill in what you don't know really fast. We have a lot of experience selling books, and we've been doing this for a long time.
On Kobo Writing Life, we have a whole section of promotions that we wanted to, that are dedicated to authors that are publishing with us, where we can try and spotlight their books in front of our readers. So it's a promotions tool, and if you don't see it within your account, all you need to do is just email us to enable that for you. You can email at writinglife@kobo.com if that's allowed for me to say. So I would definitely say to leverage the promotions, and also to take advantage of all the different options of getting your book out through Kobo, especially Kobo Plus, which again is our non-exclusive subscription platform. It's currently now in 18 different territories, and we're going to continue to roll this out. So it's been really exciting to see how that's really increased authors' earnings overall. And something new that we've added to our promotions tool, because discoverability becomes even a greater challenge in the subscription realm, is how do we spotlight our authors and help them become discoverable within Kobo Plus. So we have a regular Kobo Plus promotion that's there. So I definitely would take advantage of that. And also don't be afraid to reach out to the team. I'm really lucky to work with a team that is kind of living and breathing the indie industry and books, and we really want to help you succeed. So if you have any questions or anything about best practices, we're happy to connect. So don't feel like you're bothering us at all. Reach out and we can see what suits your books and how we can best work with you.
Well, my response to that would be, don't worry about maximizing visibility and sales on my platform. Worry about doing it on your platform, meaning your author website. So at Lulu, we have a direct sales capabilities. It's called Lulu Direct. We integrate with Shopify, WooCommerce, and Wix right now. We'll expand that. But I would just encourage you to shift your mindset from thinking, how can I maximize my visibility on this platform, and think, how can I bring people to my website to buy directly from me? Because the implications are tremendous. Get that customer data, build those relationships, connect directly with your audience. So I would just kind of flip that question and think, how can you use these platforms to drive more traffic to your own website, to own those relationships and be able to see and have access to that customer data so that you can build a sustainable author career and platform.
So if you're publishing with Draft to Digital, you can distribute your books to the Smashwords store. We have several industry unique tools at the Smashwords store that you can take advantage of from Draft to Digital. So, our Smashwords coupons capability, famous for 15 years, really powerful tool that allows you to do self-serve merchandising, even directly to the Smashwords homepage. Authors are getting their books placed on the Smashwords homepage using these tools. So that's a great tool you can take advantage of if you're publishing with Draft to Digital. Another tool is Smashwords presales. So this is another industry unique tool where you can do early exclusive releases of a book that's on pre-order. So this is a great tool for building your mailing list. You can run private and public pre-sales, and you can offer the opportunity as a loyalty perk to your newsletter subscribers. That if you sign up for my newsletter, I'll give you exclusive access to my pre-sales. You can buy my book and read my book before anyone else. So that's a really exciting tool that authors can take advantage of. And on the Draft to Digital side, Draft Digital has some really neat tools, and maybe Chris can talk more about these, like the split payments tool. So they've got a cool tool where authors can collaborate on a book and split their payments. When you can do that, it opens up new opportunities to publish new types of books, new opportunities to collaborate with your fellow authors and create books that previously really weren't possible or feasible before, because of the tax implications of tracking sales and all the headache. Draft Digital takes care of all that. Beyond that, there are evergreen best practices that will help you at Drafted Digital and help you at Kobo and help you everywhere that you publish. And so focus on those evergreen best practices. There are many things that you need to be doing well, many best practices that you need to implement and do well and iterate on to succeed. And I see a lot of authors mistakenly think that marketing only means advertising, but I would encourage authors, from a best practices perspective, to do the free things first. There are a lot of things that you can do for free. You can pinch your pennies and not spend money, and that'll only help your business become more profitable and more sustainable if you're being frugal with your spending.
Participate in our promotions. We work with most retailers and on promotions, and sometimes we refer to it as merchandising, but getting your book in front of their readers. All retailers are always running something to decide what books to show to readers. And we have a whole team over here to help get your book in front of those readers. So definitely make sure you're signed up for our promotions processes, and you can get signed up through our support team. But I would think that the most important thing is go everywhere. Go to all the retailers and libraries and subscription services, including Kobo Plus, and just get into everything, because readers are everywhere. They're in every little nook and cranny, and most of them only look at one or two retailers. They're not going anywhere else. They just go to their favorite place. And so I'd really recommend that. We have a lot of tools that are time-saving tools, our automated in-matter tools, which are tool sets that automatically create pages at the back or the front of your book for you to promote other books of yours, or to promote yourself or your newsletter. And finally, I'd recommend you look at our universal book links, which is part of Books to Read platform. These are links that you can send out that will show your readers everywhere your book is available. So you don't have to try to share out 5, 10, 15, 20 different links. You can just send out one, and they can pick their favorite retailer from that list. And, these are just some of the, we have just dozens of tools, but those are the highlights for now.
Go back to what Bailey said, because I really love a lot of what she said today in general, but the idea of the metadata, because I think that is so important with discoverability. And it's free, also going to what Mark was saying about how not everything has to cost you a lot of money. We think about ads and all of that stuff for promoting our books, but really look at adjusting that metadata and seeing how your metadata can be improved and what you can do. And, I mentioned we have a metadata tool that is getting better, and I'm so excited. But really focusing on that and focusing on how can I get the best metadata, with the understanding that it changes, and that just because today I picked really great metadata, tomorrow, if something hits the news that's relevant to my book, changing that metadata in my book is going to help my sales. And so don't just set it and forget it. Make sure you're going back into your account and looking at your books and saying, is there something I can do to make this better, to get my sales better? We also do have a lot of great sales promotions. We work with our retailers as well to get promotions out. We have promotional agreements with Written Word Media as well. So there are all of these opportunities that you can get to get your books in the hands of more readers. But part of that is going in and checking your account on a regular basis and checking on those books and seeing what your sales are doing, because I think that's where people miss out on a lot of opportunities. It's on PublishDrive, it's right in your dashboard, the different sales opportunities. You click a button and right there are every sales opportunity that you could possibly look at. And so find the ones that you're qualified for and click on it and apply for it, because this is your business. And take advantage of what's there for you for free before you start spending money. And of course, we do have ways that you can manage some of your ads and things like that through our platform that is also going to be improving, which is exciting. But to continually look for those things and look for ways, because we have a lot of really great free tools that can help you. But you have to be the one to take advantage of it and go into your dashboard and check and see what you're applying for. Unfortunately, I wish this were the case, but no one chases me around, beating me over the head saying, here's ways to make more money. I wish that were possible, but with thousands of customers, we can't do that for every customer. So make sure that you're taking that responsibility for yourself and for your business to take advantage of every opportunity that's available to you, because there are quite a few.
Big special thanks and a shout out to all the self-publishing companies that contributed to this video. Thank you so much for your time. And of course, folks, if you enjoyed this, let them know inside the comments for sure. And as a reminder, this is merely one presentation in dozens featured in the 2024 AuthorTube Writing Conference. Get more details about this 100% free without a catch conference when you visit authortubewritingconference.com or visit the links inside the description. I'll stick around and answer questions in the live chat, but if you're watching this on the replay, check out the videos on screen that are the next presentations in the AuthorTube Writing Conference. I'll see you there.